the last session was Q&A. This session is
live consultation.
Consultation.
We have no plan. There's no script for this. This is an hour of I have no idea what's going to happen, which is the most exciting thing.
Yeah. So listen, y'all, I know you've been following this guy for a minute or else you wouldn't have invested in coming here. I'm sure you got a ton of questions. Don't be shy. Whatever you want to know about building your business, how he got started, why he dresses the way he does, stuff like that.
I don't usually dress like that.
How'd the wedding go? Whatever you want to know about, right? Like just feel free to pepper up questions. Jesse, I guess my question for you is taking that next step, right? Like you're the fastest growing business in Jacksonville, right? Like you won that award recently. Mm-hmm. What do you think is the biggest thing that allowed you to go from contractor trying to pull it in to, thinking about growth and being able to be strategic and win an award like that?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to systems is the biggest number one thing. I would say the systems are the biggest thing, and also just thinking about people, like Bill said, and also stepping back, getting off the hammer, getting off the tools, I think is a crucial aspect working on the business, not in the business. I mean, that's been huge. Marketing and sales, those are two different things, but marketing leads to sales. And so if you can market, people are gonna see your business out there, then they're gonna say, hey, your business looks awesome. You can apply for this award, and then you go and you fill out all their paperwork and this and that, and then you're on the Inc. 5000 list, and then you're on the fastest growing this or the best place to work, or I'm sure Bill, Shakor's been on the Inc. 5000 list many times as well, which is a great, awesome achievement. And so, man, I feel like above you guys. I want to be like, I'm like, this is just us talking, it's just, this is it. So who here has something, a business, a question, a business question?
So I'm on Buildertrend. I pay some of my subs through the POs and electronically, which is great. Some of the subs are old school. They want to come pick up a check.
Right.
And so I'd love to systemize everything, but I'm still stuck with some of the older subs having to write the checks, maybe drop the checks. How do you convince them to take the time to log into this new program after they've done it 4 or 5 times with other contractors and they don't want to do it?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things where I say, it's a great question. We give them maybe one kind of grace period, which is like a check, but I don't play truck tag. Oh, meet me at the gas station. Oh, here's your check. Like, I did that a couple of times when I first was starting my business. But if you can't get on Buildertrend, you don't work for J Lane. Same way as if you're a superintendent in-house and you can't do a daily log, you don't work for J Lane. Ron, come up here, man. This is Ron, my COO. Is this thing on?
Yeah, turn it on.
So that's a really good question. It's something that we have to work on a lot as well. I say, look, all you need it doesn't cost you anything. It's a username and a password, sign up. It is a struggle. There's a lot of these small companies, mom and pop shops that just don't want to sign up. I've convinced a few of them to sign up. Not all of them. You're going to have that one guy who just doesn't even have a computer in his office.
But he might be a great concrete guy.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
It's like, where's the balance? So Ron, where's the balance?
So what you do is you say, look, you're going to get paid sooner. This is going to go directly into your bank account. Once you get the first payment, it's a couple days lag. And after that, it's going to be like 2 days, the money's there. Nobody has to meet at the gas station. Yeah. Right? And it's there electronically. And it's all just done.
I think one thing would be training. So we have like a dedicated, our CTO, John Crenshaw. Everyone here needs a John Crenshaw, Chief Tech Officer. So he does bookkeeping. He pays all his subs. I have nothing to do with paying subs. So if the PM approves it with a comment on the purchase order in Buildertrend, then John knows he's the guy he's the door. He lets the money through the door. But the PM approves it. Jesse Lane has nothing to do with that approval process or anything. I mean, they have access, even Ron has access to our bank account, a viewing perspective to Chase. So you say, okay, we have this much money in the account, cash flow wise. But what we'd like to tell the subs is, hey, the $1.99, so when he said it doesn't cost anything, it doesn't, Buildertrend for the sub, but as far as getting signed up. But if they want to do an online payment, I should be getting paid by Buildertrend. This is crazy. I paid just as much as all you guys for Buildertrend, by the way. I'm not a Buildertrend guy. I hound the CEO, all the marketing guys. They're like, we are not giving you any discounts. I'm like, all right, well, I'll keep using it. But it's like, But I'm like, the $1.99 per $10,000 that you're going to spend is you're going to spend more on gas going to the bank, depositing your check. So
Yeah, so it is a struggle, but you just kind of convince them, look, it's easy to use. They're going to get paid faster. It's share documents that way. I mean, once you get them signed up, they're going to love it. It is a struggle. It's a learning curve for some of them, but once they do it, they'll be locked in.
yeah, so we assign them to the schedule, typically. And so this electrician is scheduled for electrical rough and then electrical trim down the line. And so if this moves, everything shifts, and you can click notify these people, and then they get an alert, ding,
And you make sure
on their
that
flip
they're
phone.
using these schedules, because I find I'll send them out, but nobody's checking the schedule.
Yeah, it's another training kind of thing. So we have subcontractors that will live by it. They won't even call you. They just go and look at the Buildertrend schedule, and they know when they're supposed to be there. There's those, and then there's ones that you have to remind them to do that, and then there's the ones that don't follow at all. As you work with them more, you encourage them to use it. It makes it easier for them. Once they see that it is easy, then they're kind of there.
Yeah.
They're going to stay.
If you go to jlanesubcontractors.com, I built that website with my cousin Jordan, who's not here. He said he was going to be here. He was at a concert in Gainesville last night. But it's literally a step-by-step process of just like my internal website, which we haven't talked about yet, is built out for my internal employees. JLane Internal is a whole nother thing. But then there's jlanesubcontractors.com, which is what we use to train the subs. And then we don't just, we could just send it to them, and sometimes we do. But Aaron actually has been like diving in more, yeah, that's her back there, and into finding new subs. And you could talk about that actually on the panel coming up at 1. But we'll walk them through the site at the same time we're telling it to them on a training session, So it's just kind of double whammy.
So my question is, my wife and I run our company together, and I'm more the visionary. She's the integrator. Like, hey, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this, and she's
Yeah.
like, here, stay focused.
Right.
You gotta do this, you gotta do this. You gotta do
Classic.
this. So
Entrepreneur.
one thing that I want to make sure of as we continue to grow is that I don't spread myself too thin with all these ideas, right? So through
good
some of your
question,
stuff,
yeah.
trying to build a website and do some of the
Yeah.
things to build the systems. Is there ever a time, or how do you gauge that barometer to know whether or not you're getting off track from your main thing?
So I almost burnt out. Actually, I did. I was 6-7 years into it. I mean, when Bill just said I was first starting until 2 a.m., I did that for 6.5 years. I burnt out. And I got to a point of exhaustion where I got to this top of this mountain. I was like, I could barely breathe. I'm exhausted. And I just started kind of delegating a little bit too much and letting things go. And that almost ruined my business. I can't talk about all the situations specifically, but I burnt myself out. And so as an entrepreneur, you have a lot of ideas, right? And so now I've learned that JLane is my baby. It's the Mac Daddy #1. And we had I don't want to get into it, but I was maybe looking into maybe getting some like a funding thing, which we didn't do because whatever, we don't need it necessarily, but it was an interesting conversation with more of a private guy. And he was like, dude, what are you doing flipping these houses? Are you have a YouTube channel? You're planning a conference, you're getting married, you got J-Lane Construction, you got J-Lane Properties, you got consulting, and everything else that you guys don't even know about, just like stuff, like you want to have an NFT project, you want to have this, like, oh my gosh. So like a lot going on, right? And so I've learned that you can't do that because it's not smart, It's not smart. I was doing Airbnbs, it's like everything. But there is an aspect, if you can dial that same drive, that same ambition, same thinking of a bunch of stuff, but put it in one, I don't want to say the word box, but put it in one sphere, like my company, J-Lane Construction or Hollingsworth Homes, right? If you could, is that your main thing? So if you could put it into Hollingsworth Homes and give that all of your energy and all your ideas, but let it hit that kind of sphere of, don't let it kind of go over here, or else it's kind of spill out and you're not going to have a sphere or a forum anymore, a company.
How's it going?
What's that?
As far as J-Lane Construction and Marketing, I know y'all do a lot of video content, but as far as expenses in other categories, maybe Google, Facebook, what do y'all zero?
So how I've built my company is, okay, so let's just say you're starting from scratch, right? Level 0, you got $2,000 in the bank account. What I would do would be get on Thumbtack, Home Advisor, Angie's List, even Craigslist if you have to. I mean, I'm just saying, just to start, because you only have $2,000, get good reviews, which starts with doing great work, right? You always have to have that great work mindset, and you got to know what you're doing. So don't start if you don't know what you're doing. Learn first. All right, work for someone. But now you're at this point. Then you get the great review. Make a client testimonial video, okay? So then you have 5 Google reviews. You got 1 client testimonial video. Then, okay, you just got your 6th Google review. For me, Brazil's waxing center calls me. Like, hey, we got this 6,000 square foot build out, commercial build out. I'm like, I'll be right there. I'm 22, walking in with my little boots, like, I'm Jesse, nice to meet you. They're like, yeah, we got this 6,000 square foot build out, full gut, MEP, fire suppression, egress, all the commercial stuff. I'm like, cool. And they're like, well, give us a price. They're like, it came down to they didn't really want like an actual hard number because they want to try to save money. I'm like, well, just pay me hourly. I said, Steve, the electrician, how much are you an hour? It's $50. I'm like, okay, my electrician's $75 an hour. And they did it. So I took $50 an hour to $75 an hour. I took the drywall guy from whatever, 20 to 35, whatever it was. I'm like, I'm 22, just got my contractor's license, the builder's contractor's license, which is the middle tier. Now I have the top tier. But I was like, I'm making all this money, I'm not even there. This is awesome. So that's where I started. The first permit I ever pulled was that permit. I had no idea what I was doing. I'm like, can you, like, tell the ladies at the permitting desk, can you tell me how to pull this permit? They're like, you should go, like, not be doing this. You're like, you should not be a general contractor if you don't even know how to pull a permit. I'm like, I know, but just tell me and then I'll know. You know what I'm saying? But that's where I started. So when we're done a project, like I'm buddy with the client at that point, right? Like, especially if things are going well. I'll text, Google gets you a link that goes straight to them just starting the review. So you want to get that link figured out. Then you can just text it, be like, hey, leave me a review. It would really help my company. It would help get your name out there because people will see your name on my business profile, especially if they're like a franchise. Some franchises get really upset. They're like, oh, take down the video, like whatever. I'm just like, oh, dang it. Like, I worked so hard on this thing. Why wouldn't you want to advertise? But anyway, that's a whole other topic. So I don't know am I answering this kind of the right way? I mean, I feel like marketing to me, I don't have a marketing budget. Well, the only marketing budget is my time because I'm the marketer. Like, I would love to be CMO instead of CEO, marketing versus executive. So Ron's a COO, and he started as estimator, project manager / and then we moved him to senior project manager. Yeah. And then, okay, recently, like a couple months, it was like COO. I'm like, come on, man, keep going. And he's like stoked. He's got a piece of the company now. Small piece, but it's going to grow, So.
Yeah, so I think another part I can add to that, Jesse, is like, that's what his niche is. Marketing is what Jesse does. I like to operate things. So that's why he made me that's where I am, that's where I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's a good mix. All right, who else?
How's it going, Jesse? Zach with First Speed Construction down here with Chad, my partner. We're actually from New England, so we specialize in commercial, general contracting. I remember, about a year ago, I was watching one of your videos, and you were talking about how in the beginning you were in the weeds with all your financials, you were doing all your QuickBooks because you wanted to learn the systems. At what point did you decide that you had to get some type of financial controller involved? And then I guess my other questions would be, do you still use QuickBooks? And then like what type of reporting do you look at on like a weekly basis or monthly basis that someone's producing for you to see kind of how your financial?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I was talking to someone here. It was like, when do you transition from doing it yourself to getting a bookkeeper? There's no magic formula. It's, can you bookkeep? Maybe or learn it, if not, or do you hate bookkeeping? Hire it out immediately. But can you learn it? That's that medium ground, right? Do it for a little bit. Do you enjoy it? Maybe do it for a little bit longer. Does that kind of make sense? So each person's different. For me, I did it for years. I mean, I didn't necessarily enjoy it. I just had to know where the money was going because that's what I did at night. It was like, there was something we were talking about the VIP Topgolf last night. Like, he's like, dude, what time out of the day do you have to market? I'm like, it's not during the day, bro. Or, to do all the YouTube videos and stuff. I'm like, it's night for me, you know what I'm saying? I edit at night. I post at night. It's like birthing a baby, like I was saying. So yes, we still use QuickBooks Online, the second part of your question. And it links to Buildertrend. Yes. So I have a reporting Mac Daddy, like it's just a spreadsheet, but it shows the graphs, the bars, the profit, the net profit of what we're bringing in for each job. And then there's a separate tab that has overhead. And I'm actually working on making this a template, but I want to make it so perfect before I release it. So that's why it's taking a little bit longer. But there's all the overhead per month that says, I know exactly how much I've spent on overhead per month just because I can see this spreadsheet in my head, you know. But then that translates to you know, like an overview page of where we're at. Gross revenue minus your cost of goods sold is your gross profit minus your overhead is your net profit. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, but the beautiful thing about QuickBooks and the internet in general is QuickBooks links to Buildertrend, and you have all that data under your budget tab, you know? And so you can click the budget tab now that Buildertrend pulls both ways with QuickBooks. QuickBooks sends stuff to Buildertrend now, as of the last year or so. So you can go to the budget tab, you can see per cost code, that's what John Crenshaw does. He makes sure that the receipts form that people submit on JLand Internal goes into the right cost code, which there's a cost code button on our form. And so then you know, how much do we spend on drywall materials, you know, right there. And you can break it down, break it up, or, you know, roll it up, roll it down.
So Jesse, it sounds like you're keying in on like having dashboards and having systems that report back and forth to each other. Yeah. Maybe to go deeper into his question, you were doing it for a long time. Was it a level of income when you decided to replace yourself? Was it a level of complacency when you decided to replace yourself from the financial side of it?
That's a good question.
Did you unleash the reins of like knowing where every dollar was? Or was it because you had the dashboards built out so you felt comfortable enough to manage it and that's when you did it?
That's a great thing. I think a second point, I can't answer the income approach, but other than like having your, like maybe 100 grand is your zero, right? You want to have that line that you want to know, hey, below this is like, you know? So for anything in general, you want to do it yourself first, just like Bill and I and Ron and slinging the tool, you know? Then you can manage your superintendent. That's probably the first person you should hire as a superintendent, kind of veering. But it comes back to building the framework to not sub, but to systemize, to hire. So there's two things that business is. Does anyone know what those two things are? Systems and people. Yeah, Pablo, gold star. So if you can build the system, and put the people in the right place, you got a winning formula. But how do you build the system? You have to know how to do it. And that's the hardest thing about being an entrepreneur is you got to know what you're doing so you can build the system. And so I learned QuickBooks because I wanted to know how to do it right. So I built a system with checklists and everything that I needed to do. And then I haven't touched it in the last half a decade.
Hey, Jesse, thank you for all your knowledge, man.
Yeah.
You talk about bookkeeping, marketing, all these different aspects in the construction and growing your business. You try to do all of them at the same time. You say you do it at night, but the nights, you know, have a certain amount of hours and then you're back again on the next day. How do you, because I'm at that point, you know, I try to learn from bookkeeping, doing my marketing, doing my estimates, learning the way to balance, you know, my business. How do you prioritize things, I would say, you know? Keep learning, you know, from all of them, but prioritizing and don't losing your focus on your business itself.
Right. It's such a hard question for me to answer, honestly, because it all has to get done, right? And so there's a trick, because you can't not do a cog in the wheel because it's going to break, because your business is a machine. And I'm not saying, let's be clear, this is only 2-3 years, okay, when you're starting. And can we like raise our hands? Like, how many of you have been in business for more than a year? Like, raise your hands, and then we'll do kind of a 2 years, drop them, okay? Oh, wow. Okay, so 3 years, 4, 5, 6, okay? Vivek, 7, okay? 8, 9, 10. Oh, yeah, okay, 10 killed him. 10 kills me too. There's little things you can do, like go to Fiverr, Upwork. I did that because I'm still doing it, but like I'll just pay $20 for like this business card to be built. Freelancers. Yeah, because and they're like in India, bro, or not Thailand. What's the main one? Mine was in India. Okay. Yeah. My new editor's in India. Yeah. No, Upwork. Yeah, I'm just saying like, anyway. Yeah. So it's like, that's what I would do, would be see the whole picture, delegate to freelancers as much as possible, and then learn everything else, and then don't make money for 2 years, and then make money on your 4th year or something like that once you kind of get in the zone, you know? I hope that answered. That's just what I did. So that's all only experience I have.
I want to add a little something to that. It's starting a new business for most people here are young business owners, right? 1, 2, 3 years. It's having your pulse and understanding what's going on daily and just being one step ahead and understanding, okay, I can't do bookkeeping anymore, so let me delegate that out, you know, or whatever it is. It could be anything.
The goal for business building is to continually fire yourself every 6 months or something like that, if you can. Shoot for that. Yeah, Mike.
Okay, so question, and just for some background. So I have a design company for 15 years, started a construction company for 3 years. So as I'm getting one company to run itself, I'm building the next company, next to one to do real estate, how do you, and I've been the face of the company, as I delegate and make systems, how do you handle that with the clients? They're coming to work with Jay Lane. They're coming to work with WDS Mike. If they don't get Mike, then they get the team.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that?
I mean, I've dealt with that. Like I've been on jobs where I'm the sales guy, right? And then they start blowing my phone up when the plumbing is going in or whatever. And it's like, there needs to be a handoff. And so we have an official handoff process like in our internal systems, which by the way, big surprise, you guys can have all of my internal systems. It's available for purchase, which is a whole big part of this conference later. But so long story short, it's just all about communication. You have to tell the client, hey, I'm the owner, or you don't even start it at all. Just send another sales guy, which is what I'm trying to do is get Clay, who's coming soon. Hey, Mark. But Clay's coming soon, and I'm trying to train him up to be a sales guy. So that's my last hammer. Actually, Mark, that's one thing that you've said was, this is your last hammer to put down, sales. But there's books and there's people that say the business owner should always be the sales guy, which I'm fine with that. I just want to have more of a sales team so we can make more sales, right? Because you got to have sales to make money. So how do you handle a client that, I mean, if you present yourself as a one-man shop, they're going to perceive you that way and they're going to treat you that way. If you say, hey, like Ron is on most sales calls, or Brian as our senior estimator, because I don't necessarily know every screw, but Brian does, and that's what he's sitting there doing all day. He's a genius. and Ron can even help me with talking to the client. And then it's like, okay, there's no question when Ron's on the call and I'm not the next time or third time, whatever.
I'll add to that. It's just building your team. You know, eventually you're going to have people beside you, next to you, under you, whatever you want to say, that you're going to train them. They're going to learn your style of how to deal with a client, and then you kind of hand it off to them.
Okay. I know one of the things I've done recently is it would all come back to me. So it's all flowing, it's all great. The team, now all of a sudden they're texting me, it's blowing up all the clients for damage control. So now we're implementing phones for everybody. They're going to be able to text, message through Buildertrend, text them directly.
Yeah.
So I'm taking those steps.
Right.
It's nice to hear from you how to, and it sounds like I need to do some kind of a handoff step.
Yeah, there's a handoff step, and everyone has company phones, but it's very clear, like, hey, this is your project manager. It says it on Buildertrend, or whoever like Mark or Ron or whatever it is, this is the point of contact for you. I'm the owner of the company. You don't need to be calling me. Do you have another one, or let's get some?
Well, this one's actually
Quickie.
about Ron. Yeah, sure. Just wondering what your day-to-day is. Do you lead any specific projects, or what?
That's a good question.
Do you drop by each site and you're managing all the different superintendents, or how does that work?
So when I get up on any particular morning, I have a schedule, what I'm going to do that day, and then in the first half hour, it gets blown out of the water. Yeah, so there's curveballs thrown at you, but it's just kind of jumping in and just taking care of what happens. I mean, I exaggerated that. Obviously, there's a structure that I keep during the day, but I'm always interjecting and communicating with the team, making sure everybody has what they need, give them the support, and making sure things are getting done.
Yeah, it's construction, so things happen. You know, we all know that. We're all construction owners and stuff here. So, yeah. All right, another question. What's your name?
So I'm Phil Scarborough. I'm from Jacksonville, so I'm local,
Nice.
and
Cool.
I'm actually in the real estate space. So, and we do some small repairs for a small maintenance company, and posted that on the WhatsApp. But yeah, how do you manage liability? So talk a little bit about maybe liability, your insurance.
Got to get Vivek up in here and Alan. They're going to talk at 2. Well, they kind of switched. They were going to do risk management because he owns a risk management company. But then, well, no, it's a good question. But I have a general liability insurance policy, $2 million or whatever it is, and we have workers' comp. But beyond that, what are you asking?
I guess like even just training and thought as you're growing. And
okay.
You know, the company's going really well. You know, there's the protection overall, even as a business owner, and asset protection, that sort of stuff.
Alan is my cousin. He married my cousin. He's been in general contractor for the last 20-something years, before I was even born. No, I'm just kidding.
Before you were born.
I'm 30, everybody. Okay, do the math.
So what was the question? When do we eat?
How do you? Yeah, you said that at my wedding too. Where's the food, Jess? I'm like, dude, I'm having a great time. Chill.
Like an hour and a half before we eat. It's about intentionality. When you're taking a project, though I'm a GC as well, we JV'd on projects. So Ron and I have had a conversation like, what's the risk factor, which is a function of liability, to this subcontractor? What's the risk factor to this type of work? And then it's about managing that from that moment in time. And usually it's about people, right? And in our case, it's a lot about subcontractors.
You have to get to know that person's personality.
You've got to know all of those factors. And then you guys have to make a decision about whether or not you want to take on that risk for the dollar value that you are getting. And sometimes we've had this conversation, and it's probably not the most polite thing to say, but I guarantee you it's in all of your head. There's the PIA, cost factor. I see some people shaking their head. Like, you know, when you have a customer who is a pain or a project that's a pain, and you are thinking about that from a liability perspective, not just legal liability, but time, emotional energy, those kind of components.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers a bit, but insurance and intentionality when we take a shop.
Yeah. And treating, well, this might be a part of your talk, I have no idea, you haven't told me, but not treating, but using your subs like tools, right? So this is your line, I stole it. Okay, I'll let you finish that one.
This sounds bad, but here's what it is. How many of you have been to Harbor Freight? Everybody, right? How long does a tool last at Harbor Freight generally?
It already broke after you
said before you got back. Every once in a while, you get a tool that lasts a bit. How many of you had your parents, because we're of that age, who had Craftsman tools in a box, and your dad would kick your butt if you didn't put it back, if you left it out in the rain, and in some cases, he would ask you to oil it. So that's my analogy for subcontractors. Some of them are Craftsman tools. Like, you keep those folks around forever. You treat them really well. You buy them lunch. You maybe pay them quicker because you want to make sure that they're taken care of. But there are times in a project where you need to run to the store and get a tool, and you may end up having to go get a Harbor Freight tool. But you're thinking about that as it relates to not just the physical tool, but the subcontractor as a tool. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but that's what it is. Employees also are kind of like that. You have the Craftsman employee that you're going to want to keep around for a generation. And you will find eventually that you'll have where someone you thought was a Craftsman is really a Harbor Freight. So it's the same kind
That happens more often than not.
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah. Especially in this market.
Okay, who else?
Hey guys, it's
you're next. You're next.
Sorry.
You're good.
My name's Nate with DBR Construction. This is my partner Brandon. We've been roofing for quite some time. He got his GC license about 7 months ago.
Congrats, man.
Yeah, next week I'm actually kicking off a whole new construction deal. How do I source my subs?
Residential new construction?
Residential.
You're kicking it off?
Yep, literally. Next week.
Okay, we're starting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So how do I find my subs? How do I stay competitive but keep quality? Is there a program? Is there a system, a website? Where are you guys finding your subs?
Yeah. Some subs reach out to us from our marketing. Some subs would go drive around job sites and find. Some subs are just like in my phone randomly because I'm like, oh, I've seen that truck around. I like take a picture of it, and like when I'm done driving, I plug it in my phone, and then it gets imported into Buildertrend, which is actually something that Aaron is working on. Where's Aaron? Anyway, yeah, cool. Lunch. Oh yeah, Chick-fil-A. There's 100 Chick-fil-A sandwiches out there. How else do we find subs, Ron?
It's recruiting, it's running ads, it's just seeing them go by other job sites, taking pictures of trucks you see on the road, cold calls sometimes. Sometimes I'll call a sub if something specific comes up. Hey, do you do this? No, I don't. Well, can you tell me somebody who does? So maybe it's just a friend of a friend.
Or architects, developers, engineers, like, oh, mechanical engineer. Who's the best HVAC guy? Electrical engineer, same thing, electrical sub. So, and I actually have a video. If you type in 10 ways to find subcontractors, there's actually like another 7 ways that I didn't remember right here that are on that video, you know? So, yeah. Yeah, that video is good too. Well, we had one here. Name, where are you from? I know. I know you, man. Where are you from?
Orlando.
That's right.
Yeah. We talk a lot by Eastern.
That's it?
Yeah. So I would like to know about how's your life as a construction business owner? What
Very
you do
full.
every day?
Everything.
And
trying to do nothing though. That's that ultimate plan. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, and what's at least the 3 things that you always look for in your business every day?
The what that I look for?
The 3 important things that you're looking for in your business that you take
net profit, good people, and sales. But so what does my life look like? I don't get up early. Yeah, business. But then, so it's like, what do I do? So I again, like Bill, I'm a visionary, you know, and if you saw the inside of my head, yeah, it's, I have a lot going on. Like, so I have to, like, sometimes I have a hard time falling asleep at night because I have to go through this it's like this big circle, and I'm thinking about each thing, but each thing that I'm thinking about, like, has like all these details, you know? And so you might experience this as well. And you finally get to the end, but then like it's 3 a.m. and you got to kind of start over. Like, what did I miss over here, you know? And so what do? I do it all, you know, because I have to keep my hands on everything. But that doesn't necessarily mean I know every detail that Brian is working on or whatever. But Brian will come to me and say, hey, man, I got this thing going out, this estimate, this problem or whatever. I need some guidance. I'm like, okay. So I dive in a little deeper to that, you know. And then I come back up for air, okay? Brian's in the green. But, there's a red spot over here, you know? And so what do I do? I'm looking for issues, I guess, I don't know. But I don't want to describe it as like firefighter. I think people say that because I think if you're in firefighter mode, you're like a paper contractor that's running around, and you're the bottleneck. That's not the goal here. It's what I'm doing is more 100,000 foot view is the ultimate goal with the systems that I've put in place and the people that I've put in place to run those systems. I'm checking in with all those systems to make sure they're operating.
I've had a glimpse inside Jesse's head, and there's a lot going on.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. But fortunately, we're blessed because I think we make a nice balance. As far as we make a great team, and we just use that tool to grow the company.
Right. Yeah.
My name is Kerry. I'm in South Florida area. I'm a GC. I have a small construction management. That's what I do. I do some residential, mostly commercial, but I operate most of it. I do most of the managing. And I do have Instagram, and I try to market a little bit more, but I look up and I'm like 2-3 weeks, I didn't post anything or I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
What is the advice you would give to someone who's more hands-on and marketing? Do I try to send that out, give it to someone else?
Okay, so are you hands-on with tools?
No. I just like operations, like checking on the jobs.
You're a project manager?
Yes.
Are you a superintendent?
No.
Okay.
I have guys who do it, but I do pretty much all the back office, the managing of it.
I don't have my phone, but example, hey guys, I'm here, I'm managing this job site. This is the plumbing rough, it's going in, we're tying into this main right here, whatever. And hey, let me know if you have any questions about it, blah, blah, blah. Post, you know? And then your phone's in your pocket, and you're like, okay, all right, was that actually right? What I said, whatever. Like you're back to managing the job, you know? So it doesn't have to be complex because we all have iPhones. Hopefully none of you have Androids, right? So.
It's just being mindful of just constantly trying to put more content out there.
Yeah, but or you can, I mean not or, but also you can sit at night and kind of, like I have an Apple Note for YouTube, and I have like I have yellow circles and green circles. The green circles are my YouTube videos that are green lighted. They're ready to film. And my yellow ones are ones that are just kind of a half-baked idea. But I'll go, and when I have time, like maybe on the weekend, I'm just, instead of watching Netflix or at night, whatever, during the week, I can work on this stuff. Like if I have nothing else to do, it's like, oh, let's work on some content, you know, because I'm trying to help all you guys, and because I love doing it. But for you can help people, but then also clients will be like, okay, this dude knows what he's talking about, and you make a name for yourself, and you're the thought leader of residential and commercial or whatever you're doing. Yeah.
That's another thing.
Well,
like residential, I'm managing like high-end luxury renovation.
Oh, like how much is that?
That one.
400?
One is like 3.5, and another one is 1.5. But then I have projects where.
Wait, million?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, what? I'm not.
It's a piece of it. I'm doing part of it, but it's not.
Okay.
With the commercial, I'm more getting into. My background is really commercial from when I was an employee, and I also have people reach out to me. Pretty much a lot of things I get is word of mouth. Like, hey, Gary, he can help out. Can you do this?
Right.
Should I more focus on one than the other?
100%.
Right.
So that's what I did. Maybe year 4.5. I don't really remember. I got this guy George Headley, and I paid like whatever money for a consult for him, for like 30 minutes, whatever it was. And the one thing that he changed my life, what he said was, take all that residential crap off your website. Get it off. I'm like, but George, he's like, take it off. I'm like, so I did, and then I'm the commercial GC now. It's as simple as that. Then the client's like, oh, well, look, this looks like a residential guy. Says he does some commercial, but let's go to the next website. Oh, this guy just does commercial. Dan, in the Suit Club, what's up?
Right. Dan Godino, Northern California, GC. Can you talk about your process? How do you vet skilled labor and subcontractors? Do you look at their pictures? Do you actually get calls from recommendations, previous work? And how do you preempt the risk when they do the job? And if
preempt the what when they do the job?
The risk.
Risk? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, let me kind of back up a step talking about an internal hire. I have a new hire package. Actually, I uploaded it last night to jesseLaneConsulting.com, $79. I built a construction knowledge quiz out. So like when, I don't know Bill, but when he's talking about hiring all the in-house like people, but then he just fires them in 2 days or whatever, it's like what we've been doing, and I built this quiz late at night, like 4 years ago, like, do you know how wide and how thick a 2x4? Is this a monolithic slab or a stem wall? Is this a soffit, an eave, or a drip edge? Or how thick is drywall in commercial? What hour separate, 1 hour, 2 hour for this thing, that thing? You know, just like, it's a very detailed, but it's only like 5 or 6 pages. And we've been at the end of hiring. I know you're asking about subs, we'll get there. But we've been at the end of hiring, and then we give them the quiz. It's very telling. Very telling. And on top of that, we also have like a little more culture stuff as well that we do, and it places the personalities. But can you answer the sub thing?
Yeah, so basically, depending on the sub, sometimes it's a word of mouth, maybe you just, or if it's just somebody you don't know, you would simply just ask them what kind of projects they have going on now, and you go visit one. You can look, if they're doing a specific scope, you can look at it and you can right away tell the quality. I mean, I recommend that if it's somebody you don't know.
Yeah, or if it's a referral from a GC or whatever that we trust. It's like, all right, give the guy a shot. Like, you know, there are worse things, there's bad things that can happen. Yeah, I've had electricians that stole the guy's license number and built a website. It was Electric RS, and they're from down south. And I hired them. This is like one of my first commercial jobs, and they ran all the wiring, and they were just ripping it to shreds as they're flowing it through the conduit. And then we had to hire our normal electrician who bid 25 grand for the job. He bid like 40 or 50 grand for the job originally, but then I got this guy for 25 grand. I'm thinking, I just made 25 grand. But then I had to go and pay $70,000 ultimately to get it ripped out and put it done right. So.
Previously stated, we're starting new construction on the residential side. The end goal is obviously commercial real estate, right? Would you recommend for us to just dibble into new construction on the residential side, or jump at both? I know a lot of people say slow and steady wins the race. What's your recommendations on something?
What were the two things? New build residential and then something about commercial?
So
what's the commercial? Build outs and...
Right. Like spec homes starting off.
Okay.
End result or end goal would be commercial real estate. So
commercial real estate.
Splitting units, etc.
Like strip center, lease it out, you're the landlord. That's your ultimate goal?
Right. We do have some investors behind us, so the funding is there.
Yeah.
So if I should just focus on one.
Well, what I told someone at the VIP thing, was don't hack off. It was Jonathan Ross, and he's 20, and he's awesome. He's been in business 2 years. Anyway, don't hack off the residential, because especially with this recession potentially coming up. Yeah, leave it there for maybe it's 3 years, and maybe you do one of these ultimate goal jobs, but you're still doing it. But you're not necessarily doing one or the other, because it's the diversification Pablo was talking about, but not too much diversification, but just one split it once, so make two things. Yeah, so you know what I'm saying? But then eventually you can let this kind of fall off, and then it'll kind of blend. You know, I mean, yeah. So cool.
All right, y'all, for y'all that are not from the South, we got Chick-fil-A for lunch.
Jesus Chicken!
Which is a special treat. So we want to kick everything back off by 1 o'clock. So all I'm going to ask is everybody's kind of back in this room, 12:50, in your seats, 12:55. I'll just kind of warm up the audience, and we'll kick it back up. 1 o'clock. Go make some friends, eat some delicious fried chicken. Welcome to the South, y'all.
Yeah, nice.